If you're in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? And welcome to another edition of the Ron and Don Show. And we are back in the Team Lisa. That's Team Lisa.
With a Y.
TeamLisa.com studios for all your mortgage needs. Team Lisa with a Y.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, we're about to get to the top 5 at 5. We'll talk a little bit about Russ Wilson. I guess he's heading to TV. Before we get to that, though, and some of the other stories that are happening here in the great Pacific Northwest, we also got to talk about our barbecue. In fact, why don't we stop the show here? Stop the show.
I like when we stop the show before we start the show.
Yeah. So, what'd you think of the what do we call it? The tri-tip and tequila backyard barbecue extravaganza? Ron was a chef. I was kind of the entertainment and host. I think the food was good. I literally swear to God, I did not have any. I did not have.
I gave you some of the prime. Well, first off, thank you for hosting.
The part that you gave me though was like one was good, and then the other I couldn't eat because it was gristly and fat.
Okay, well you should have said something.
So I got the one that you gave me, and boy, it was.
So here, just to put some context on this, we did a party at Don's house. Thank you for hosting. We were thinking there might be 30 to 40 people. I bet it was closer to 50 to 60 people.
No, I reached out and told you that I thought it would be 50 to 60, and then the night before, I'm like, I think it's 40 to 60, and I think we were pretty close to 60.
Right in there. So we had I was in charge of the meats. We got the meats, and I was going to do it on the barbecue. So I went out, and I asked my AI client, how much meat do I need for 40 to 50 people? And it told me the amount of meat I need. So I went to the butcher, I bought the meats, and then you had a night. Do you want to tell people about your nightmare right before we're going to hit barbecue time?
Well, I did the same thing, and what my AI told me is that we didn't have enough meat, and so I had made a couple gallons of Southern stew the night before, sausage stew, so that was ready to go.
I wish I would have got some of that.
And then I went out and bought. Yeah, that was gone. And then I went out and bought a bunch of chicken, and I bought a bunch of Swedish meatballs. And our friend Michael was kind enough. He cooked up the chicken and the meatballs. That was all gone too. So I'm glad we had the chicken, the meatballs, the Southern stew, and your meat.
I guess maybe we didn't have enough meat. So I was in charge of. I got tri-tip, and here's the thing. I was just talking to Matt off the mic about this. Usually, I'm not the best cook in the world.
Oh, you were great.
But like
I thought you did a great job.
I know a couple dishes. I try to improve my skills. I rarely cook for more than 3 to 4 people, sometimes 5.
Yeah.
And so cooking for 5 people on the grill is way different than cooking for 50 people on the grill.
Yeah.
And here's the thing where I hope some of the people at the party with the Ron and Don Nation, I was doing what is known as a reverse sear. I had a dozen people ask me what was going on with the meat. So here's the concept with a reverse sear. You want the middle of the meat when you're doing tri-tip or the similar cuts, you want it to be pink. That's the whole purpose of getting that cut. You cut it really thin.
Yeah.
You want it pink in the middle and a crust on the outside. That's the whole ball game. And so in order to get this, there's 2 methods that you can use, at least in my research. One is a sous vide, where you put the meat, you season it, put it in a vac bag in a sous vide water bath at a certain temperature, bring it up to temp over the course of like 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours for a big piece like that. I didn't have time to do that.
Yeah, so you had 6 pieces of meat.
The other thing, I had 6 big tri-tip style cuts. The other thing is you season it up, put it on a rack inside the oven at low temp, and you put an instant read thermometer probe in the middle, you're bringing that up to temp, and then you just sear the outside. So the perfect tri-tip for me is kind of crusty, fatty on the outside with your seasoning, with your rub, and then it's pink in the middle. And like you cut it really thin, and it sort of melts in your mouth. You get this big flavor bomb, and it's incredible. There were a lot of people, I don't know if I want to name the names. There were people, though, that when they saw that pink center were like, that's a little rare.
Huh.
Can you put that back on the grill? So it went into two camps immediately. You had the people like Josh Kearns, his own name, who literally posted up at the carving station and would have put his plate out every time I started to carve something.
You're just throwing it up in the air, and he was catching it with his tongue.
Matt off the mic likes. He's like, this is too cooked. I want it more rare.
Oh,
and I was
wow.
like, well, I'm not doing that for a whole chunk of meat.
Sano didn't care.
And then no, Sano
he cared?
wanted it back on the grill.
Oh, he did.
So he's like, this is too rare. Can you throw it back on the grill?
Yeah, he also made me heat up his southern stew in the microwave.
Which is fair.
It wasn't hot enough for him.
And but my
Can
point
I just
is,
point out that you were cutting the meat and putting it in that little serving tray or whatever.
Yeah.
Not even a serving
It
tray.
was gone.
A baking dish. And then you just walk away, and you didn't put it out on the table with the rest of the food.
There was no time.
And it was going.
It was
so
going.
People were just like,
Yeah,
where's the meat? Give me
people were
meat.
liking the
It was
meat.
good.
Here's my thing though, and I need to work on this if we're going to do this ever again. I'm not used to cooking for 60 people. And so it's very different from cooking for 5 people, especially with, like, your grill is outside under this rain cover. There was lots of people in between the carving station and the cooking station. And so I'm trying, it was, I don't feel like I did my best performance.
Oh.
People, I tried some of the meat. I gave you some of the burnt ends, which is my favorite part. One of them, I guess, was gristly, but like that usually is the biggest flavor bomb on the animal. So, but like, great hosting. Your house looked fantastic. The people liked the margaritas. Didn't drink as many margaritas as I thought, but it was a 2 p.m. kickoff, so maybe that.
No, we had refilled that thing. I refilled it twice.
Oh, so they did go through
All the margarita
margaritas.
mix was gone.
Okay,
That was $625 in margarita stuff.
So I was right. People do.
They plowed through it.
Plowed through the margaritas.
Yeah.
Okay, because I looked at the thing.
I
and I was
think
like,
what was left, I think you took a couple bottles home.
I took a couple bottles home of the premix.
Yeah, and then my son was there doing entertainment. I had to drive him over like he was a Beatle. So he came over in an Uber with his friend Kinsley, and then he entertained.
He was great.
I thought he was great. He was upset that his guitar got out of tune on the second song. I'm like, hey man, I didn't even know. Don't worry about it. I thought you were
It's
great.
all part of gigging.
Yeah, and then we had a sing along. In fact, before we get out of here today, we'll do some of the sing along stuff. I do have a question.
Sure.
I would say the Irish goodbyes were at about, with me, about a 72.3%.
I love the Irish goodbye.
Well, here's why I didn't like the Irish goodbye. Because people that Irish goodbyed didn't take their serving tray with them. I have to say, people in the Ron and Don Nation, our clients, our neighbors, our friends, and these were a lot of our clients that were there. They're incredible cooks themselves.
Yeah,
like they're.
You said to bring a side, and
I was going around talking to. I was just so thankful that everybody was there. It was so cool. I would say half the people there probably voted for Trump. Half the other people are more center or center left. Chad did show up with his "fuck Trump" hat on, and I had to pull him aside and say, "Hey, that's not what we're doing today. So you have a choice. You can either put your hat away or you can leave." Like, I didn't like that at all. And he was sitting next to some people that I knew that were former cops that certainly didn't feel that way. But it was really cool, and I wish we did this more. I wish all of us did this more. That we pushed away from the internet, that we got together, that we cooked, that we shared a meal. That's how I grew up in the Midwest. That's how Ron and I grew up in the Southwest. It's called familia. It's certainly that way when we lived in New Orleans and places like Dallas, even Grand Rapids. Some of those cities where I only lived for a year or two doing radio, I have lifelong friends. And yet here in Seattle, it can be very, very hard. They call it the Seattle Freeze, to connect with people. And I thought it was so cool. There were 8 people there that I know that have grieved some pretty incredible things over the past 2-3 years. And to see them sit with one another, get to know each other. And Ron and I knew just about everyone there from all these different walks of life. But to see them in the same space from our different walks of life, and some being from radio, some being from real estate, some being a neighbor down the street or a friend, to see them conversing and connecting was really cool. This is what pisses me off, though. On the Irish goodbye. All these plates were left behind, but the plates were left behind were all sweets, and I don't eat sweets. You know that, except for the one pie, and we'll get into the pie controversy here in a moment, because the pie is still, no one has consumed the pie yet. I still have the pie.
I can't wait to hear about the pie.
So we'll negotiate the cherry pie. We'll get to that.
I did leave a pair of tongs behind.
But everything else everything else was sweets, and I don't eat sweets. And there was one hell of a mess left behind. So there was lots of Irish goodbye. Nobody helped to clean up. So it was just me and my house. And I spent a couple days preparing for this party, and it took me 4 hours afterwards to clean up, and then probably another 2 hours the next morning. And then it started. Hey, I left a little early. Sorry I didn't say goodbye. Sorry about the Irish goodbye. Could I get my salad bowl? Hey, I had to go home and take care of the dog. Wonder if you have my serving tray. Hey, I have 13 serving trays and salad bowls that were left behind.
And a pair of tongs.
The way that I look at it, if you didn't participate in the cleanup, meaning clean out your own bowl, and I even went and I think I thought of everything. I bought all kinds of Tupperware. The Tupperware was out on the table. All you had to do was dump your stuff in the Tupperware and take your dish with you. And I went around and I shared this, and nobody did it. Nobody took their dish with them. And so I have all these dishes, and now people are reaching out to me to try to reconnect and telling me stories about the salad bowl. Like, one of the salad bowls is from Hawaii, from our wedding. Another salad bowl, someone got in a divorce. And there's another salad bowl that is evidently my neighbor, who I never even saw. I never even saw this neighbor that supposedly came Sarah, and now I have Sarah's salad. So this is what I did.
That's a mistake on their part.
Well,
because
hang on. This was a lot of dishwashing for me. So I had to, and someone told me you got to hand wash the salad bowl. So not only are you leaving your salad bowl behind with all the salad in it, there was no salad, and I think this is the watermelon salad, and the watermelon went bad, so we threw that. So now I'm washing the salad bowl, but I'm having a request. Please do not put the salad bowl in your dishwasher. So, and then evidently I matched the wrong bowl with the wrong set of salad tongs, because then there's wooden tongs that go along with the salad bowl.
This is a rookie mistake.
So this is what I did, and I put a picture online. And we're almost there. It's 11:21. I said, all these dishes are clean. They are currently in my custody on my front bench outside. You know, it's a very nice bench. I like to sit on this bench. It's part of New Orleans. I like to sit on the bench, not on the back deck. I like to sit on the bench. They're all lined up on the bench. They're all lined up out there. And I said, you have until noon today.
Wow, deadline.
To come by, get your pot, get your pan, get your salad bowl, get your tongs, get your pie plate, whatever it is, just come get it. And then at noon today, does this sound fair? This goes into my Airbnb stash. At this point, it is now mine. And I don't think, if you Irish goodbyed me and you did not participate in putting any leftover food in some kind of Tupperware bowl, which were mostly sweets, I don't think you get your pie plate back. What say you?
I totally agree with you.
It's not my job to reunite people with their salad tongs.
This goes back to your Midwest upbringing, because if you were raised in the Midwest, you never bring the family salad bowl.
Never.
You go to the store, the dollar store, or you get one of those tinfoil things, or you get a bowl that's plastic. That's a sacrificial bowl.
Thank you.
Everybody knows when you're going to a potluck, it's a sacrificial bowl.
That's right.
My neighbor was just had a baby. I made a beautiful lasagna for him. I didn't put it in my Pyrex. I'm never seeing that Pyrex again.
What the hell's
I went to the store and I bought the tinfoil thing.
Thank you.
I made the lasagna and I said, here you go.
Yeah.
Just throw it away when you're done. I never want to see that again.
All right, we have another controversy. There's two people that didn't come because of my virtual signaling before the party.
Are we just part of top 5 at 5, or are we?
Let's get to story number 1.
Okay.
Ron and Don's top 5 at 5.
5, 3, 2, 1.
And there was a sing along, and we'll play part of the sing along.
What is virtual signaling? I don't even know what that means.
Matt, can you explain to Ron?
Virtue signaling, or
I'm sorry, virtual. Did I say virtual?
Yeah. It's like, I know what virtue signaling is. I don't know what virtual signaling is. So virtue signaling, I know exactly what that is.
All right. Something happened last week where Ron and I made an announcement. And a lot of you know us as Ron and Don. Many of our fans out there worldwide know us as Country Evil, right? And it's a band that Ron and I have had for decades. We like to be country, because and this is before, Ron had a life partner and before I had a kid. The reason we wanted to be country and the reason we invented this band when we worked at radio stations, we wanted to go out and we wanted to raise money for Cause Radio. And usually what we would do is we would book our band and then we would book some actually pretty good bands, like we were in Dallas.
Oh, we've played with Grammy Award winners. We opened for Saliva.
Yeah.
Like we've played with Bowling for Soup.
Yeah.
We've played some pretty
And we
big
have like
gigs.
7 songs we do is kind of Southern rock and that's it, right?
Well, it's a mixture.
Yeah,
It's a blend.
Anyway, and one of the songs we did, Country Roads.
Well, the country part is because we want to have a full spectrum of demographics.
No, it's because we
have
wanted
women
chicks.
and men.
We
Yes.
wanted chicks.
That's what I just said. A full spectrum of demographics.
We were evil for the men. It was
Right.
evil
I was just saying that.
You were saying the country part was for men and women.
Country part is for everybody.
I don't think so.
And the evil part is so we can get a little heavy.
So I apologize. I always thought our country part of Country Evil was for the women.
You don't think
And then
men like country music?
I don't think so. I do though. I
like country music.
I love country. So anyway, something happened, and I wrote this before the party, and I had 2 people contact me, and they were dead serious that they weren't coming. And they have unfriended me online as a result of writing this. Are you ready? I'm going to read it to you. Have you read this yet? What I posted?
Yes.
Here it is. It says, a very important message from Ron and Don of Country Evil. Hey, y'all. Because when we're doing Country Evil stuff, we do our like y'all accent.
I get it.
It's very Dallas. Yeah. Hey, y'all. Ron and Don here. And we wanted you, our fans, to hear this from us first. As many of you know, we were recently asked to perform at the Great American Birthday Party on the National Mall this summer. Like our friend Bret Michaels before us from Poison, we accepted because it was presented to us, like it was to Bret, as a nonpartisan celebration honoring veterans, first responders, teachers, and hardworking Americans.
250th anniversary of the United States of America.
Unfortunately, what was presented to us as a celebration of our great country has evolved into something much more divisive than we agreed to be a part of. So, just to let you know, like Bret Michaels, we have received serious death threats regarding the safety of our fans, our crew, and ourselves, including one from our drummer's ex-wife, which, while unrelated to the event, still felt like we should mention it. Therefore, after long and careful consideration of Ron and myself, who are Country Evil, and it was roughly about 45 minutes over a plate of pulled pork, Ron and I have made the painful decision to withdraw from the Great American Birthday Party. This isn't about politics. This is about integrity. This is about our values. And honestly, this is about the fact that Vanilla Ice and Milli Vanilli are still on the bill, and we refuse to be the 3rd most embarrassing act at any event. Country Evil will not be performing on the National Mall this summer. We love you all. Stay well. Ron and Don, Country Evil, we ride at dusk unless it's raining.
Ron and Don's Top 5 at 5.
Number 2.
I just want to know how many members of your crew were threatened.
I seriously had 2 people, and you know who they are. They read that online, and they're like, how could you...
So
they're
I know we've moved on to story number 2. So in your mind, we're kind of like Kiss, like me and you are Paul.
In my mind or your mind?
In your mind.
Whose mind?
Because the rest of the band is just for hire. Like you and I are Country Evil, just like Kiss.
You're
and
Paul
then,
Stanley.
And then
I'm Gene Simmons.
And then the rest of the band, like we can.
It's always been that
Peter
way.
Criss can get that in or out, or Ace is in or out.
We've had many drummers.
That's probably fair. Well, you know the story on the drummer.
Anyway, we pulled out.
Yes. Can we just say that as a just an aside, real
I
quick?
could not seriously believe that people took that seriously and didn't come to the party.
You got to tell me who it is off the.
What's that?
You got to tell me who it is off the
One's
off the
a
air.
cop. One's a cop that you know really well. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
All right, we're moving on.
Like he ripped my head off.
Story 2.
And you know what? I didn't let him in on it. I'm just like,
Fine.
okay. Story 2. Let's get to this. Sounds like, and I know you're pretty pumped about this, Russell Wilson will no longer be in throwing footballs or selling dough balls or playing with balls of any kind. Russell Wilson is heading to the broadcast booth to, and boy, Matt Ryan and that CBS crew, and when Boomer Esiason and all those guys are on there, it's so electric. I have to tell you, I think Russell Wilson will actually do pretty well because that show is a bunch of canned ham and canned bologna, and he's full of canned ham and canned bologna. He'll do awesome. I think he'll do great. CBS is where he belongs because that programming right there. Have you ever watched it?
It's horrible.
It's horrible to watch, and he'll be less horrible than Boomer Esiason was, or Phil Simms, who was on that show as well.
My relationship with Russell Wilson continues to just go downhill, even though it's one-sided. Like, he doesn't know we have a relationship, but I've met him a couple times. It is, and this is subjective. People are jumping down my back on the. I made a post about this. I can't stand Russell Wilson.
What'd you say?
I continue to not be able to stand Russell Wilson.
What'd you say on your post?
He is Mr. Cringy. Mr. Unlimited makes my skin crawl. His Bronco Country Let's Ride makes my skin double crawl. I think he's a complete phony. I don't think he has going to add his whole career. His whole signature move was to never say anything about anything. Like, he was the most milquetoast at the podium guy that there's ever been in the NFL. And so now he's all of a sudden going to blossom into some incredible insight into the cover two. Like, I've never got, he's not for me. All right.
Yeah.
He's not for me. Here's where it happened for me. When you dump your first wife before your rookie contract ends and the big money kicks in, so that you don't have to give her any money, and then magically you're dating Sierra and a film crew happens to be there when you propose, and so then you go on a public tour announcing that you guys are celibate and you're not sleeping with each other, and you make a big deal out of it on these videos, and then magically your first child appears before 9 months after you're married.
Oh, wow.
And everybody knows what's going on there. And then next thing you know, it's just one phony moment after the next of these invented, curated moments. It's just not for me. He's not for me in any way, shape, or form, especially when you're filming your proposal. He drives me up the wall.
Who's worse, Russell Jackson or Russell Wilson or Michael Jackson?
Well, clearly Michael Jackson.
Okay. Just checking. No, I know you just
Wilson,
like them both.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, he's done good things, but there are many, many professional athletes that have done stuff for like children's hospitals, and they don't announce it.
Yeah.
They do it anonymously because they're into children.
Yeah.
They're into helping children. And so Russell Wilson, though, made sure that everybody knew that he went to Children's Hospital. He made sure that everybody knew that he was doing good things. He always has this agenda of putting it out there, and it's never struck me as genuine. Like his persona, like going to the Met Gala, it just the Bronco Country Let's Ride and the Steelers Country Let's Steal, whatever. It's Let's Forge, whatever he said.
Go Hawks.
It was
All right, so
and then in his mind,
not doing it.
he's the reason we won the Super Bowl. Then we need to let Russ cook.
Let him cook.
And then as soon as he was able to cook, his career went in the toilet.
Yeah.
And he was never, he ruined the Denver Broncos for a couple of years. And the only reason he's going, or the main reason he's going to CBS, is because he doesn't want to back up Geno Smith as a New York Jet. And so his only viable offer at this point was to become a backup for the guy that used to be his backup. And his ego is too big to digest that, and so he decided to go to the booth. I don't know what CBS. We'll talk about 60 Minutes later. What is going on with they shut down the radio division.
Oh boy!
They fire Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes.
We thought we were
They're
gonna
hiring Russell Wilson.
Oh.
What the hell is going on at CBS?
Wow. Okay. Real quick.
And another thing.
Okay.
The signature Subway sandwich he had was a pile of dog crap. Did you ever try it?
Was that with the?
They were trying to make a signature, a Danger Russ.
Was that with the bread?
The Danger Russ sandwich.
Was that the
because I
bread
got pepper and cheese on there. Woo!
Was that the bread that was shaped like a football?
No, that's another endorsement. He's the most cringy athlete in recent memory.
Real quick. When he raises 12th man flag, because you know he will at some point, will you stand and cheer?
Absolutely not.
Will you wear your Russ Wilson jersey?
I've never owned a Russ Wilson jersey. I'm glad that number 3 now has been given to another player, which I hope
a pretty good player.
He becomes a Hall of Famer because it's just we would never want to retire number 3.
Seriously, does he belong in the Ring of Honor for the Seattle Seahawks?
No.
Why not?
Unequivocally no. Because
he's the only quarterback that has ever taken the team to 2 Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl.
I could say that about every position on the field. I could say Walter Jones is the only tackle to ever, like, I could go run down the roster and
Walter
say,
Jones didn't win a Super Bowl.
Those are the only guys that have ever, everybody on that roster is the only Seahawk team that ever won a Super Bowl. So, like, that's not a distinction.
Okay.
Would you put him in the Ring of Honor?
Would I put Russell Wilson in the Ring of Honor?
Yes.
I would do it just to sit next to you.
It's the worst.
In fact, when he raises his 12-man flag and they put him in the Ring of Honor, I want you to come sit right next to me.
There's nothing that bothers me more
and I'll buy your ticket.
than people
I'm
that
gonna bring my recording
overestimate their contribution to a win.
Still not done.
He just really bothers me.
Okay. Now,
Other than that, though,
be honest.
Good luck.
You did sports radio for over a decade, so you know a lot about these things. And you've always talked about, people always talk about this. Remember Tom Tangney said, hey, when it comes to Michael Jackson, you got to separate the man from the music. And I think you said, no, you don't, right? But in sports, you seem to do that. Like with Barry Bonds, is he one of the greatest players of all times? He is. Did he juice? It seems so.
I wouldn't put Barry in the Hall of Fame.
But you still wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame.
No.
So Russell Wilson...
I'm not saying
Russell Wilson has never got caught doing anything wrong.
I understand that. I'm saying this is my personal subjective reaction to Russell Wilson. I grant you that he put up some good numbers. He quarterbacked a team that won a Super Bowl.
What about him in his day, though? Like, him in his day was really fun to watch. Like, when you go watch him play the Packers or take on Aaron Rodgers or a Monday night or a Thursday night football game.
Yeah, he had some good moments.
He couldn't see. He had great moments.
But so did Doug Baldwin.
And a lot more than
so
moments.
So did Richard Sherman. And so did Earl Thomas. And so did Marshawn Lynch.
So you think another quarterback could have won a Super Bowl with the Legion?
100%.
You do?
100%.
So you don't think
with Marshawn Lynch and Russell, again... He demanded to let him cook, and what happened when we let him cook?
You know what?
His teams were like 4-12.
So here's why I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Because he really took us to 3 Super Bowls. Didn't he? Why am I saying that?
Because of the trade with the Broncos.
He took us to 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
That's why he belongs in the Ring of Honor. That's why he's a Seattle Hall of Famer. Because... he lost a Super Bowl, he won a Super Bowl, and then he helped us win our second Super Bowl.
That's because he's Mr. Unlimited.
Without that trade, it would have never happened, and we might even win another Super Bowl this year. We'll see what Myles Garrett has to say in Los Angeles.
Ron and Don's Top 5 at 5.
Number 3.
All right, you want to get to Scott Pelley. Let's get to it. Scott Pelley.
What's your take on what's happening at 60 Minutes and what's happening at CBS? So for those that don't know, CBS is being acquired by the Ellison crew. And so the father Ellison, Matt, what's the tech company that he was in? Oracle? Ellison founded Oracle, became a multi-billionaire. He actually bought a Hawaiian island. Like he's that guy that has to buy the biggest boat and buy the biggest island and own the most stuff. So his son is sort of going through the ranks. His son tells his dad, I want to be in the entertainment biz. And so dad gives him all unlimited funds. And so he's putting together a deal where he's going to acquire, one of the assets they acquire is CBS. And they are totally in bed with the MAGA movement and trying to basically use their influence with the president to get their way. And so that is why Stephen Colbert's being fired as part of this whole Ellison merger thing, because he was hard on Colbert was a critic of the president, as is his First Amendment right. And the Ellisons were like, hey, we got to get rid of this guy so that our merger goes through. And so now the other thing that was a critic of Trump was 60 Minutes, because 60 Minutes is just this legacy program that tells the truth for a lot and has done it for decades. Probably the most respected television news show of all time. And so now they fire everybody at CBS. They fire the producer. They fired a lot of the directors, and they install the Ellison crew installs their handpicked people that have never done magazine television news at all. And so immediately Scott Pelley, so Anderson Cooper's gone, the major producers are gone, the director's gone, the founders of they had to pull back a story that was highly sourced and highly reported because the White House didn't like it. And so now Scott Pelley, they have the staff meeting that you and I have been to 100 times, where the new guy comes in, he's like, "Hey, we're going to take on KVR and Como."
Let me say this: we had a guy come in named Hot Rod, and he has a staff meeting. They come in from Salt Lake, and he has a staff meeting into our whole staff, and I believe that Rod was very involved in the Mormon Church. He stands up in front of the whole staff, because we would get at Cairo, we'd get a new PD every 12 to 18 months. Every like clockwork.
9 or 10 PDs.
And when you come in, even when the station was doing really well, like when Hot Rod got there, the station was doing incredibly well. Like he just needed to go in and leave it alone. Just keep your hands off it. Couldn't help himself. So he calls his staff meeting, and he calls out Como, and Como isn't even close to us in the ratings. They're not even close. Like, we're dominating the market. Our show...
It's apples and hamburgers.
Our show in the 1 hour, the top 5 at 5 that we're doing for you right now, is one of the most successful hours in news talk in the country. In the country. In fact, shows all over the country are copying the top 5 at 5, which is something that I created and I came up with. 5 stories in an hour.
No phone calls.
No phone calls. Just stories, lots of great sound, opinion, not a lot of guests, just you and I chewing on the news of the day. So he calls his staff meeting and he says, "Hey everyone, my name is," and then he gives his name. "And now that I'm here, we're going to take on the Como Homos," is what he says in the staff meeting. In the staff meeting. I'm like, how is this guy not instantly fired?
Right.
You just said Como Homos in a staff meeting with people in there that are homosexual, right? That with people in there that are our friends. And even if you're not homosexual, it is so not only bizarre and crass and mean, but it's so out of touch. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I take it this guy's not going to the Pride Parade that was coming up. I think in a week. So anyway, then after that, he calls us into his office and he says, "Hey guys, I really need you to speed up the show." And I said, "Well, what would you like us to do?" He goes, "How about this idea?" This is what reminds me of 60 Minutes of Scott Pelley, because you have all these people in there that are telling you to do things that have never done it, and you think if you're in radio and you're market 10 or 12 like we are, and you have the number one afternoon drive show, 6 plus, 12 plus in the market for years and years and years. You own that show. And then around the country, people are copying everything you do. Everyone was looking to find a Rachel Bell. Everybody was looking to do a top 5 at 5. Down in Phoenix, our sister station, they were looking for their Ron and Don. Same things down at KSL and KOA Radio and the Big 870. You know, all these stations were trying to create a version of kind of what we do. And they would have syndicated it, but they couldn't because we were very Seattle-centric and we wanted to stay Seattle-centric. He goes, "How about this idea? Instead of doing 5 stories in an hour, just to really get it going, we do 5 stories in 5 minutes." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I say we do 5 stories in 5 minutes." And I'm like, a timeout. Then, because we had 4 hours of radio to fill, I'm like, what are we supposed to do for the rest of the hour? He's like, "I don't know, but you guys are great and you'll figure it out." So he said, he's just like, let's just give it a try. Let's give it a try. So I went up and I talked to our manager at the time, and I just said, "Let's look at the ratings here. Let's look at the ratings book. And it doesn't make sense to do 5 story in 5 minutes. It makes sense to continue to do what we're doing because we're dominating in the market," which this manager who hired him agreed. And I think he knew after he'd heard the whole Como Homo thing that Hot Rod wasn't going to be there for very long. Hot Rod ends up going to a Mormon station, and instead of being a program manager, he's in Salt Lake City. And guess what he started doing at 5 o'clock every night?
5 stories in 5
Hot
minutes.
Rod's top 5 at 5, and it was 5 stories in an hour. He did 5 stories in an hour.
So we've all been to
So it's
staff
exactly
meeting.
what's happening in 60 Minutes right now. And that's just one story. Matt, you've worked in TV. Ron, you've worked in TV and radio. People that are managing you are people that are doing, they're managers because they try to be talent and they couldn't do what you do. So now they're going to coach you to do what you do, even though they sucked at it. And the great managers know, hey, if you're in a top 10, 15, 20 market, I don't need to coach you. I just need to give you resources and make sure that you have everything you need to make sure that you continue to be successful. And that's not what's happening at 60 Minutes. They say that 60 Minutes, their audience grew by 9% last year. And also, it not only dominates television, and has dominated television for decades upon decades, but it now dominates the internet. And certainly now, did you read the kind of what happened with Scott?
What happened is they have this new manager that comes in that has no television news background whatsoever.
And he releases the letter that he writes to Scott Pelley. He releases it online.
What happened first is in that staff meeting, someone recorded the meeting.
Oh, is that what happened?
And so then they leaked that recording, the actual audio file, to the New York Times.
Oh.
New York Times has all the quotes. So read the first story, because Scott Pelley totally goes after this manager and just absolutely eviscerates him on his first meeting, where he's like, we got food in the lobby. And he's like, dude. And so, like, just go read the quotes. He's like, everyone go out and get the food in the break room. That's great. And so Scott Pelley and the rest of the staff is like absolutely loving what Scott Pelley's doing, because he's calling them out on their BS.
And so many people had already been fired. Anderson Cooper's out the door. Two of their great correspondents that spoke up got fired.
So then Scott Pelley just recently, I think yesterday, was fired.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for the lawsuit, the termination lawsuit that I hope Scott Pelley
Did you read
files.
Did you read his letter?
The manager's letter?
No. Did you read Scott Pelley's letter?
I think I did. Yeah.
Well, it just got released. You may have not.
I
read
may
it.
not have seen it.
It's really good.
Yeah, Scott Pelley's great.
I would encourage people to read what the manager wrote, and then read what Scott Pelley said. And he really stands up for journalism. He stands up for the rule of law. And he said, it is wrong when you start telling politicians, no matter who they are, pick one of our reporters that you would like to sit down with and go ahead and have a chat. And Scott Pelley was saying that there were things that were being forced into his reports that were not factual. They were not facts. And you're going to force them into my report. And he said what he was doing is what we did with Hot Rod. We just ignored him, right? We just ignored him. And then finally, with the new guy coming in, they wanted the Scott Pelleys out. Before we move on, what do you think will happen? Do you think at some point the Scott Pelleys and the Anderson Coopers will come back to a show like 60 Minutes, or is that all over with?
You know what? I hope. I just saw a really interesting interview with Malcolm Gladwell, and he was meeting with. It's a comedian that used to help create the Dave Chappelle show, and I forget Neil something. I forget his name off the top of my head. And so he's doing this piece, and Malcolm Gladwell, I hadn't heard it like this before. He says, U.S. politics is reactionary. And so sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it's in 4-year cycles, but it is the political environment in the United States most of the time is reactionary. You start going in one direction and then bam, it gets slapped back the other direction. How far it goes out on each pendulum swing is different, but it is a reactionary system that we have created in the United States. And he says, I think the backlash and the reaction to this particular 4-year stretch is going to be extreme. And so I hope that he's right in terms of the media coverage and holding people to account. It really, I don't think, that's one thing that I'm really sad about that we have lost in America as we've gone from regular media to social media. Is it was always fascinating to me, and you and I got to sit in, not on a bunch, but on quite a few editorial meetings where when you get professional editors and professional people around a table and they have to decide what is the news, what's an actual source, what isn't a source, what quote can go in, what quote can't
Can
go
I
in.
find another source? Can I find two sources?
Can I corroborate this information?
Yeah.
Is this go above the fold, below the fold? When you see the process that happens and the vetting that happens on big stories, it really, to me, made me proud to work in the industry and made me proud to go, okay, these are, like, I subscribe to the New York Times, not because I agree with every story that they do, but because I know they have serious professionals that fact check and that have a pride in saying, this is our top story. We believe in it, and we have sent people out to gather this information. We've lost that now in America, and we have this blog culture where you can just say whatever you want.
Everybody's chasing a click. CBS is chasing clicks. It's interesting because, like, Ursula used to be our news director at Cairo, and she would call us in from time to time, and she was really great. She would coach us on the news. She's like, hey, I know you guys are really smart, and I know you're from the music side and the sports radio side, but it's really important to make sure that you have a through line when it comes to the news, and not just soft news, but actually hard news. And what's interesting is she's on the radio now, which I think is very cool, and the door is open. And I looked at an outline of what they were, and I haven't really listened to Cairo much, but I looked at an outline of what they were talking about, and it's a lot of she's now giving love and dating advice and all that on a station that used to be known for hard news. I don't even know that that's soft news, and I don't know where that ends up landing, because sometimes when you sync to, I think overall they're like 16th or 17th in the market with Dory gone, with Dave gone, with us gone, and so you're out there, you're searching for clicks, and you lose your way, and it's like, it's interesting that people there that were like, to me, Ursula was like the Scott Pelley of Cairo radio, right? She was the anchor of that, and really an amazing reporter herself. And now you're a host of a show, and it's like, what do I do if we're not getting ratings? Because if I do hard news like Como does on a news clip, that doesn't get any ratings, because we can see that with Como. They're like 25th in the market. If I do softer stuff, kind of like what they do on rock radio, and it's more conversational, is that going to work? And it's like, what we were able to do is park it somewhere in the middle of making sure that we were doing hard stuff, and at the same time there was conversation around it. I think that's why it's amazing to me that 60 Minutes was doing so well, because typically hard news shows like that really dissipate and disappear, and that was one of the great ones. And it's really sad to me that Scott's gone and that Anderson Cooper's gone as well.
Ron and Don's Top 5 Back 5.
Number 4.
All right, let's just do number 4, number 5 here. Memorial Day. My son and I always go out to a grave marker somewhere, and we'll leave a flower, we'll say a prayer. We talk a lot. We talk about a lot about different wars, specifically World War II, Vietnam, the Korean War, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. His nickname is...
The war on drugs.
Yeah, his nickname is... He's named after someone that passed away in one of those conflicts. We have a flag at home with bullet holes in it that flew on a tank recovery vehicle whose name was Gunner. And I've shared Chris's story before, so I'm not going to go into that here. The thing that bums me out, and I noticed this when we went to Ireland as well, when you go and you see the grave markers in Ireland, it's really incredible, right? Just it's incredible. And you start thinking about people that you loved and cared about that have passed away. And we talked last week, Ron, about having a living memorial, like have a living memorial service before they pass away. And I'd share the story of my little sister who passed away from ALS. And I'm like, there's 800 people in this church right now singing and saying things that she probably has never heard and were never told to her. And now, because we have this thought, well, they're up in heaven, they're looking down and all that. And like, I don't exactly believe that they're looking down. I hope they're not looking down. And we made some jokes about some of the things we do that we wouldn't want people to see. But I think some of the grave markers, when you're walking through like a cemetery, we got to liven that shit up a little bit. You know what I mean?
What's your suggestion?
Well, my friend Kent just passed away. And my friend Ken has been. I played football with him, class of '85 at EHS. He was actually dating a girl that I used to date a long time ago. And her name was Janine, and they were married and had family. And he's been fighting the same horrible disease for the past 2 years that my sister fought for ALS. It's it's a very mean disease. So my friend Bitch Beal, who I played football with, and Mike Mara, who we call him the Mook, they were just at Ken's bedside as he passed away. And so you have this memorial page, and I'm sure a lot of people have this for their school. And our class was very large because we were a double high school. The other high school hadn't been built yet, so our class was like 3,800 kids, almost 4,000. Our class alone, graduating class, was like around 900 kids. It was a lot of kids. And so that's a lot of people to keep up with, but it's also a lot of people when you look at the memorial page and you're like, wow. Yeah, I was telling my son last night, I said, man, when you're younger, you have these cliques in school. When you get older, you go to the reunion and you're just glad you all made it. And you look around and you're like, who didn't make it, right? And you look at the memorial wall and you talk about your friend. Anyway, I just wrote something to her about him, and I wish these were the kind of things that maybe that we put on our grave markers. So when people walk by our grave markers like 200 years from now and nobody knows anything, maybe they can get a chuckle or a laugh or some inspiration, right? And know about the person that is buried there 6 feet under. So anyway, I just wrote her. That's why I was 2 minutes late today. I said, hi, Janine. I'm so sorry to hear about Kent today. I loved playing football with him when we were just boys. I loved his love for life, his wry sense of humor. Something I always appreciated in our huddle. We had a very sacred huddle at EHS. You couldn't have been married to a finer man. He had a quiet charisma and character that was special. As you know, I lost my baby sister, Colleen, to ALS, the class of '88. It's such an incredibly mean disease. It speaks volumes. It does, that you stayed by his side to fight this fight. The fight is now over, and it's time for Kent to fly. But I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you and Kent from Washington State today with a few tears in my eyes. We will dedicate our sacred huddle tonight at Lincoln High School, as I now coach my son's high school football team in Seattle. It's Kent Johnson Day for the mighty Lincoln Lynx tonight. Love and light, Janine, and that's from Don. I would love to see stuff like that on a grave marker versus just R.I.P. Bob Smith lived and died. We will see you on the other side of this.
Hey, it's Ron and Don here, our brand new sponsor, TeamLisa.com. That's TeamLisa.com. That's Lisa with a Y, TeamLisa.com. She is our mortgage broker here on the Ron and Don network. And so, Lisa, many people, they've had a divorce, maybe there's a death in the family, they're getting that new place, and they're really sensitive to their monthly payment. Do you have a way to control what my payment is going to be?
Absolutely. And let's just face it, things are expensive. But what I want to tell you is there's so many different ways you can structure your mortgage payment to make the payment lower. So if you're looking online at a payment calculator and you're getting discouraged, don't stop there. Give us a call. We can model out a few different things.
So one of them is I can buy down the interest, correct?
Correct.
All right, you can buy down the interest. I can do a 2-1 discount? Is that
2-1 buy down.
2-1 buy down. So there's
Yep.
a lot of different ways. And sometimes I can even get the seller to pay for it.
Hopefully.
All right. So Lisa's got all the tricks up her sleeve. She knows what to do. Give them a call or go to the website, teamlisa.com. That's teamlisa.com. That's LYSA, teamlisa.com.
If you have a friend that is ready to start their real estate journey, send them to ronanddonsitdown.com.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. I think it's funny. We see a lot of rich people. I mean, billionaire type folks. What did you make of Mark Zuckerberg? And I want to talk about Bill Gates here in a moment. There's an article just written about him and the fact that the respect and admiration that he worked so hard to attain, not just financially, but within our culture, may seem to be gone. Before we get to that, what did you think of Zuck, like, cruising in through the battered locks on the same day he brings his $300 million boat on that same day firing hundreds and hundreds of people at Meta. What was your take on that?
It's par for the course. Like you reach a certain level of wealth and you become oblivious to.
Is that right?
Everything. Yeah. To people of that station in the world, they don't think in terms of individual lives. Like you're thinking in terms of numbers and spreadsheets and analysts and like if I do this move, like he's not thinking about, oh, I'm firing these people. He's going, oh, I'm allocating these resources here and we're making a profit there. And the collateral damage happens to be a bunch of different people getting fired, but that never entered his mind. I can guarantee that when Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or Larry Ellison, even like Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, when they're thinking about the structure of a global company and the moves they're trying to make, they do not think about individual people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any of them care, and I agree with that. But you read the Jobs book, right? And at the end of the Jobs book, you see this relationship with Bill Gates and Jobs, because they were both suing each other and saying, "Hey, you stole stuff from me, and I stole stuff from you," and there was a real hate relationship there. And then at the end of the book, Jobs and Bill Gates talk about the fact that Jobs is on his deathbed in California. He's in that same Palo Alto house, the 3-bedroom he was always in. He always had the doors unlocked. Lots of times there wasn't even furniture in it. It's usually where he'd go get high and do LSD and create Apple, right? And one of the reasons he died is he got sick and all he did was eat apples. He wouldn't go get Western medicine, and it was a disease that he could have survived, but he waited. Come to find out, that story was not true. And Walter Isaacson now grieves that a little bit, that he put that in the book because it's such a pivotal story. And what happened with Gates and Jobs was not true. And they evidently hated each other until the end. I always thought that Gates, going out, buying farmland, all the philanthropy, all the lives that we're going to save, was that just all a bunch of bullshiznit, or do you really believe that he meant that? I thought he was different. How about that? And there's an article that you and I just read that said maybe it's been just carefully created by him, but maybe not necessarily true. He does admit to being on the spectrum. Sometimes when you're on the spectrum, you can be brilliant and maybe not always connect with your emotion. We certainly see that with Elon Musk. Do you think we're seeing that with Bill Gates?
I think so. The article lays out some stuff about infidelities when he was married to Melinda and a couple other things. The thing I always think about with this, I don't think the philanthropy is a ruse. Because why would you, like Larry Ellison, who we brought up multiple times in this episode, he's a billionaire. He could give a crap. Like the dude's out buying, he's not saving lives in Africa. He went and bought a Hawaiian island. So like there are many examples. Elon Musk, the same sort of thing. Like they don't give a crap. They're not spending any time, energy, or resources to do good in the world. Jeff Bezos, kind of similar. Like he'll spend tens of millions of dollars to have a wedding in Venice and not give a rip. So the fact that he set up a foundation that dedicated many, many years to doing these things, I think that that's real. Here's the thing that I've always believed with big egos and people that get to become presidents or CEOs of companies that large, is that what comes along with that are leaf blowers. Because Don and I can never escape leaf blowers. What comes along with that ambition and that ego are appetites. And so those appetites you cannot turn off. It's part of the package of people that reach those levels in the world. And so for me, the red lines have always been when it is criminal, when it involves children, or when there's like out and out, crimes against humanity. That's where I draw my personal red line. And that's why you brought up Michael Jackson earlier in the show as well. That's why it's a red line for me with Michael Jackson, because he was predatory towards children. That's why Woody Allen for me, the red line, predatory towards children. Guys that have infidelities, if we kicked out every CEO and every person of power in politics, man and woman, that has had an infidelity, there would be nobody left standing. And so that fact fact to me, the fact that Bill Gates, who grew up on the spectrum and as a nerd and had no female attention, if you read his book, where it's his first years, his birth till the founding of Microsoft, dude was not getting a lot of dates in high school. So the fact that you become the richest man in the world, and all of a sudden, there is a lot of interest in you from women and later in life. The fact that he had infidelities, it doesn't shock me. Like, that never shocks me. Bill Clinton, the fact that he had infidelities, that doesn't shock me. The fact that these people go to these parties or go to islands where there's going to be models and all this stuff in there, like, that never shocks me, because most of the time they spent their entire life grinding on this company, and then once they get a certain level of success, they sort of raise their head up and go, oh, wow. There's a lot of stuff available to me that was never available to me. And so do I condone the behavior? No. But I didn't find any red line for me personally that Bill Gates crossed. Was it smarmy? Sure. Is how he treated Melinda smarmy? Absolutely.
When you're dating young Russian women and then you find out that Jeffrey Epstein was connected to a lot of young Russian women, he's never really been clear about where all those young Russian women came from. And I think his current girlfriend is a young Russian woman. So I find that interesting.
So I have to ask you, are these stories that are coming out about Bill Gates changing your opinion of it?
Well, guess who doesn't really talk to him anymore and took all his money away from him? Warren Buffett. I didn't know that about him. Warren Buffett won't talk about it. And they're asked, when's the last time you talked to Bill Gates? It's like, I haven't talked to Bill Gates. And he's not writing him a check every year. The thing that it's about, I look at Mackenzie Scott. I love her. Like, I love her. She gets $38 billion, and all she can do is give that money away. And the problem is there's so much of it, it just keeps multiplying. It's very hard to give away $38 billion. Ask Oprah Winfrey. You make one mistake, and you don't vet a situation, and the next thing you know, all anybody talks about with Oprah Winfrey is what happened at that school, what happened at the school. They don't talk about the hundreds of other schools that she has vested her time, energy, and money in. Oprah's done a lot of great things in the world. She also owns a lot of one of the Hawaiian Islands right now. Most of Maui, Oprah runs. But I like Melinda the other day, I think invested in the women's basketball team here, the WNBA. I follow her online. I love what she writes, man. She is so inspiring. She doesn't live in a place of bitterness. She lives in a place of gratitude. I think of those two women. And it brings me around to this. The Seahawks are for sale. One of these jack wagons with one of these $300 million yachts is going to buy it. Whoever it is, I don't think we're going to like them. And people are like, well, Steve Ballmer. It's like, I don't like Steve Ballmer. Like who out there would I want to own the Seattle Seahawks? Because the thing that I did love about Paul, and I did date, our friend 55 who passed away used to lead Paul Allen's band. So he's very, very close to Paul. And in fact, when Paul died and they went and they had service for him on an island somewhere, we don't know where the island is because 55 wouldn't tell us, but he was on that yacht. They were playing with YouTube, doing all kinds of really fun stuff. And he always spoke very highly of Paul and his philanthropy. And so did my partner. That was basically his right. He didn't, at the end of his life, he didn't have a board because he knew he was running out of time. And so every morning, wherever they were, their computer screens, they just open up their laptops and there would be Paul. And it's like, who are we going to give money to today? What are we going to do today? And so you see this acceleration at the end of Paul Allen's life. And then look what he did with the Seattle Seahawks and how thoughtful that was. The reason he wants the team sold is because all that money is going to charity. So Paul Allen is that guy, right? Is Steve Wozniak that guy? He's kind of that guy. So there's some cool nerds out there that I like, and I'm glad that Paul bought the team. I can't think of anyone else right now that I'd rather own that team. And you'd have to be $3 billion liquid, and you'd have to throw $3 billion into the deal. You'd have to have $6 billion to do it because that team's going to sell for 10 or 11. I would love to see Melinda and Mackenzie Scott own the Seattle Seahawks.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
In the Supersonics, too, if we can get the Supersonics deal.
I think what you're going to see there is Todd Leiweke over with the Kraken, which was really surprising to me that they cannot put a winning team together, especially when you look at what Las Vegas is doing, and they came to the stage at the exact same time. Las Vegas just keeps winning championships, is what I thought the Leiweke brothers would do here. And, of course, for those that don't know,
Actually, the Kraken came in a year or so later, and they had changed the way the draft works. So Vegas had they dismantled some championship teams and gave them players.
Yeah. But still, the Leiweke brothers have been at this for a long time.
Yeah,
and they are soccer guys, they're hockey guys. Todd worked for the NFL. He was Paul's right hand man and created the whole 12th man thing. You see everything that goes on in the stadium. The Sounders march to the match and all that. Leiweke created all that. And when you go to a Kraken game, even when they suck, it's still a great experience.
So to close
and that's because the Leiwekes. So the Leiwekes will own the Sonics.
I think Melinda Gates is connecting with them. I saw some story about that. But to close the segment out, Bill Gates, you didn't answer the actual question. So
I've never liked him.
Okay, so you're out on Bill?
No, the one thing I did like is we were on the radio one day, and we were doing cause radio, and there was a boy with cancer that was dying that wanted to play video games with him. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to play video games with Bill Gates. And we're like, and that is the time we would launch Operation Airlift Japan when we had no way to get anything to Japan during the tsunami. We'd just do anything. Oso landslide, let's get $300,000 worth of fuel and shovels up there, and our listeners would do it. Like whatever we asked them to do. The Lakewood 4, Officer Timothy Brenton, we could go on and on. It's really amazing what we did. And where I do give Bill Gates credit, and he said, at that time, please never talk about this on the radio, but we're not on the radio anymore, so you can talk about it. We took a semi and we put it over in the parking lot at Microsoft, and we said, hey, Bill, could you give Ron and Don a call with a phone number on the side? I don't know if you remember that. And we were like, where do we park the semi? And someone's like, well, and this is my recollection. I work at Microsoft, and I can't tell you what building he's in, but it's somewhere between building 24 and building 26. So we found one of our listeners to take his semi, park it over in the parking lot, and his assistant ended up calling our assistant and saying, hey, don't talk about this on the radio. And Bill ended up taking that young boy who since has passed, flew him to Las Vegas, where he was speaking at a trade show. And
gave him a brand new Xbox that had just
played
come
video
out.
games with him, and was really beautiful to him. So for that, I'll always have great appreciation. How about that? More in a minute.
Thanks for being a part of the Ron and Don Nation. Subscribe to the Nation News at ronanddonsitdown.com. A behind-the-scenes look at everything Ron and Don.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, coming up right after this, in our next episode, it's a real estate only. Ron, what are we talking about, real estate only?
I found a new way to explain. This is part 3 of my 3-part series on understanding the market, and I think you're really going to enjoy the market intensity.
I'm sorry to interrupt. When did you decide this was a 3-part series?
This morning.
After you did the 2 parts?
After I did the first 2 parts. So now it's a 3-part series. I dug in.
Okay.
Got some answers.
Is there going to be a 4th part?
I don't know. We'll see how this part 3 goes.
Okay. Anyway, thanks to everybody that came out for Sunday Supper. It was really amazing. The food you guys made, I wish I would have tasted it because it looked incredible. I do want to say I was very touched because I always talk about this red cherry pie that Matt brought to me on my last birthday, and he came to my door, and we ended up making a skit about it, and we put it online that nobody watched. Nobody. Like,
it was a fun skit, though.
It was for me and Matt.
Right.
Like, nobody. I'm like, this is going to be hilarious. Did you watch it?
No.
Nobody watched it. But every time I see it, it's one of my favorite things I've ever posted online.
Sometimes you just got to do something
I'll
for you.
just go back and watch it, and it's so Matt comes to the door and he has the cherry pie, and I know what he's doing. And don't I? Is that when I say hang on? Do I say let's make a skit out of it or something?
Stop, yeah.
I don't even say. I say just. I think he knew we just immediately knew what we were both doing. Yeah. So I stopped. I closed the door. I turned my camera on, and I'm like, "Oh, hi, Matt." Was it? And he did the whole thing. It was great. And the pie was incredible. And I told Matt, I said, I don't care if you come, but make sure your wife comes because she's a lot nicer than you are, and she actually showers. And then, boy, if the cherry pie guy's around. So Matt, can you tell everybody about the cherry pie guy actually showing up at the party? It was pretty great.
What happened to the pie, you mean?
No.
So you have a friend that makes, like, are these his own
This
cherries?
is Bry the pie guy.
He brought it.
Yeah, he makes a great cherry pie.
Yeah.
We helped him with something, I can't remember what it was, and he brought us a pie, and I was not eating carbs and sugar at that time, and so I took a slice for my son, and then I brought the rest to you, and then we made a little skit.
Yeah.
And then you said you invited the pie guy.
Yeah.
Long time listener to the show, though. So shout out to Bry, the pie guy.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the show. Has been.
Thank you, Bry.
On the radio and then now on the podcast.
That's beautiful. I'm so appreciative. And he walked
But
in
when
with
the pie came in, I saw Bry holding the pie.
I took the pie.
And I had a piece of meat in my hands and some tongs, and then you scurried him away like it was the POTUS going into like a bomb shelter.
I had nothing to do with him. I just grabbed the pie. Because this is what happened.
Right, you grabbed the pie and you scurried it away.
Tell everybody what happened when our friend Scotty brought me a pie on my birthday. Who confiscated and
I
ate
didn't
the pie.
confiscate the pie.
You took the pie.
I didn't take it.
And
Scotty left it at my
video
house.
of you online when I was clearly in Vancouver.
You were out of town.
My refrigerator works.
You were
Scotty
out of
knows
town.
the code. He helped build the damn house.
Scotty gave me the pie.
It was my pie.
Of course it was.
So I'm like, and then you.
But it was given to me.
And then you had the gall to do what?
I ate the whole pie.
And you did it on video.
Why wouldn't I? I was given a pie.
And you ate it on.
I ate the pie. You were out of town.
You did it on video.
What, I'm going to let a pie mold on the countertop?
So when I saw that pie coming in, I'm like, Upshaw is going to be all over this pie. I took the pie, and I have a locked mud room. I unlocked the mud room, and I put the pie in the mud room.
How's the pie?
I actually had a cooler in there, and I added some ice. And the pie is currently in the mud room.
Have you eaten the pie?
I haven't touched it.
Why?
The pie is going tomorrow because I am providing breakfast victuals for the Lincoln Lynx football team for those that come to weight training.
Did you just say the word vittles?
Vittles.
Are we
yeah.
on the Beverly Hillbillies
I've been
all of
watching
a sudden?
lot of better. I love Jed Clampett. Don't get me started with. Do you know who's still alive?
I would rather talk Beverly
Jethro.
Hillbillies.
Jethro's the only one that's still alive.
Is it?
Do you know where he lives?
Emmy May, Allie May.
She's dead.
What was her name?
She
Ellie
didn't
May.
age, she didn't age well. She aged kind of like the gal from the Dukes of Hazzard. Not even.
So back to the pie.
Barbara Bach.
So
who's
shout
still alive, by the way. She still
Shout out
does
to-
appearances with Tom Wopat, and he puts the cowboy hat on, and she puts on the short shorts, and then Tom Wopat still tries to jump in the General League. And
this is your fault.
And last time
out
he did it, he ripped his pants.
to
You
I
mentioned
mentioned the
Beverly
show.
Hills.
Shout out to Big Bry, the pie guy.
And I'm gonna have a piece tomorrow, and then I'm gonna share it with the team. I'll get in some breakfast victuals and all that stuff. So we'll
And
be
then-
sharing the pie with
And then the
team.
punchline is, you ready for the punchline?
Yeah,
He wants his pie tray back. He wants his
I imagine he does. Everybody does.
That he deserves it because he did that special
he'll
for
get
you.
it back. Yeah,
Special for you.
it's a great pie. And then
What about the other pie that showed up after that? The other cherry pie that showed up after that? Do we name names?
that's from Scotty, and that's going tomorrow too.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Scotty actually took his pie home.
Good for him.
He's a cheap bastard.
Good for Scotty.
It sounds like him, doesn't it?
Totally.
He took the pie home. And then I'm just going to say there were 5 Marys at the party. One of them had a little too much margarita.
One of these Marys is not like the other.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Do you know which Mary it was?
Did you give the last part of the meat to your son? You said you were going to.
I did.
I had about maybe 6 to 10 ounces of 2 different spice rubs.
I told you I was. I
did
did.
he enjoy it?
I took a bread knife out. I carved it all up, and I showed it to him. And I said, hey, do you want to put it in your lunch tomorrow? And he goes, yeah. And then he went to put it in his lunch. And guess what?
He ate it before he got to lunch?
I think so.
Good for him.
Yeah, he loved it. It was good, man. You did a great job.
Thanks for hosting.
People loved it. You're welcome. Hey, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of The Ron and Don Show. We sure do appreciate it. If you need us, just reach out.
Yeah, go to ronandonsitdown.com or you can email me directly, ron@ronandon.com, and we can do a custom sit-down just for you.
Oh, okay. Also, don't forget on social medias, I'm Don O'Neill. He's Ron Upshaw. And and we also want to thank Team Lisa with a Y.com. If you need help with mortgage, refinancing, whatever it is. We had a friend the other day that reached out and said, I need a bridge loan. There's a house down in Florida I want to buy. I own a $2 million home here. I fully own it, but they're building my house down there now. How can I do that? Because I don't have the money. I need the money out of the house. And so she came up with a whole plan that's better than a bridge loan. It's absolutely perfect.
Buy before you sell.
Yeah, so teamlisa.com if you want to check that out. Who says, and now we'll sing you out? Is that entertainment tonight?
I don't think they...
By the way, Mario Lopez, Inside Edition, just got canceled.
Was it Bill O'Reilly? And now I'll sing you out? Or
I don't think. I don't know. He has a new podcast where he could barely talk on called We'll Go Live.
The problem with this is it sounds so close to John Denver that the copyright might get involved.
All right. Thanks to everybody for supporting today's show.
I
Matt.
did have someone go, that Country Road sounds suspiciously like Feliz Navidad. And I was like, yeah, Don does have one shuffle beat to rule them all.
It drives everyone crazy that I do the shuffle beat, including my child, so I love to shuffle it. All right, we'll sing you out. You've been listening to the Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network. To the place I belong, out in West Virginia, Mount Mama, sailing home, country road network, on my back.
Thanks for listening to the Ron and Don Show. Please hit subscribe.